Good afternoon, everybody. How are you? So today, I am going to talk about hoops, stitching in hand, scroll stands, and other things that we use to stitch with. Okay. I don't use a Q-snap. I don't use a Q-snap for a very simple reason, and that is because they're just too thick for me. I don't like holding them. And my very first hoop was this. This was my very first hoop. It is like, I don't know, what is that, like 3.5 inches? Three inches? It's, yeah, this lady who got me into cross stitch gave me this little hoop here and said to wrap it in fabric, which I did, and use that to stitch with. And the first project that I worked with was not at all small. I might bring out my finished projects later. It was a very big lavender and lace Santa Claus that I got to finish for her, and this was my hoop. So I don't like Q-snaps because I started out with hoops. Now, most hoops start out looking like this. This is a very cheap balsam wood one, and they come in heavier wood too, which are nicer but cost more. Honestly, this works just fine for me. But I like to take them and wrap them in fabric. So there is you can wrap it around like this. And this is just ironed out binding tape that I put around it and then did 2 little stitches at each end to hold it down. It is very tedious and takes forever. I quit doing it that way. This one here, I did with just some scrap from some curtains that I planned to sew into something else, and it is glued down. Now, the glue is on the side that the fabric doesn't touch, and this worked just fine. It was a little tacky at first, but over time it has stopped being tacky and it hasn't come undone, and it's been a few years. The way I do it now, and I did this one with very contrasting colors, is I put the fabric on long ways, like the one that I glued, and then I just kind of do a little, what is that, like a whip stitch all the way around to hold it down, and this works well. I love this little hoop. This is great. This is a great little hoop for little projects. And my favorite hoop that I use the most is this one, which is 8 inches. And this one is stitched with a better matching gray so it doesn't look so Frankenstein-y. This is what I like to use the most as a hoop for these smaller projects. One thing I will not do in a hoop is my back stitch, because I like my whole project to be visible when I'm doing back stitch. And for that I use a scroll frame, but I also have this quilter's hoop. This quilter's hoop I think is an 18 inch, 16 inch, 14, 15 inch quilter's hoop. This one works really good for that. I have not put fabric around it because I don't leave anything in it very long, but I use this when I want to do back stitch on a project that will fit in this, and my scroll frames are utilized with other things just so I don't have to take them out. Okay, so that's hoops. Now there's other kinds of hoops too, which are the little plastic ones. So these little plastic ones here that come with your kits, I use these for finishing. They are slippery no matter what you do with them, because there's no way in these plastic hoops. As you can see, there's a little lip right there. There is no way to grip the fabric, and the fabric will slide out. So I use these for finishing. And then I bought these, which have like a spring on them. And I have not even considered putting a piece I'm working in this. I'm going to use these Looks like there's a little piece of cork in here to hold the fabric once you tighten it down. But I am going to use these as finishing hooks also. I think I actually have a project that will go in this that is a gift for someone. It's a Doreen Jones free pattern. That'll go in that. So that's my hoops. Now, I like the hoop because I can put the hoop, like this hoop here, is what I use when I'm sitting on the couch stitching, because my stitching area is away from the couch, and you know, I want to be closer to the family sometimes, so I go and I sit by the couch. So that's, and I have a little clip arm thing that this goes in. It's an adjustable thing. It's in some of my other videos, you'll see it. Okay, the other thing is stitching in hand. So this project here, I will stitch in hand. It's just on some Aida. It is one color floss, and I can just, you know, scrunch it up and stitch in hand with this one. And then when I get down here for the French knots and the back stitch, which you see I tried to do some of the black work lines without the hoop. When I get down to do the rest of these French knots in these back stitch lines, I'm going to put it in a hoop because I find French knots a lot easier to do in a hoop, on an arm, or a stand of some kind. Now, I did have one of those ones you sit on. The bottom piece got used for another project, and I didn't like it, mostly because the one I bought, my hoop never sat right in here and would fall all over the place, so I didn't like it. Also, I didn't like the thing that went under your leg, you know, that you sat on. I found it uncomfortable. But this is a great concept if you want something that is a little more portable. Just don't get a cheap one like I did. Spend the money. Get the expensive one. I think the expensive one, the better quality one, started about 40 to 60 bucks. But, you know, it just kind of goes in here, and then you screw this thing down, and that goes in the thing that you sit on. And over time, I find that it just gets loose, and you know, you can undo this bolt here, which doesn't, it's cheap. So you can flip over your project to do your line, do your tucks and starts and stops. Okay. The other one is scroll frame. So this is a scroll frame. And these two pieces here did not come with this scroll frame. I have another project on the piece that came with this scroll frame, and that's my Indian Peacock by Dimensions. And it has these little clips that hold in the fabric. It kind of just goes on and clips on the fabric. I don't work with my fabric necessarily drum tight because it's not necessary for most cross stitch. It is for embroidery, but for cross stitch it's not. It can mess with the tension and cause puckering. I'll get more into this in a minute. But these pieces came on a smaller stand, which this is a tabletop stand, and the two arms would go into it on each side. And this one's really nice for tabletop work. So if you're like camping or you stitch at the dining room table, this is a good option because you can either put the arms here so it's taller, or here so it hovers towards you if you're sitting there. So these are really nice options for that. They come with two different kinds. This one that I'm showing right now is the cheap balsam wood. And it came with these rods, and they slit. And then you just take your fabric. Get the fabric. Alright, just take the fabric. It's really hard to do like this. Okay, there. You put it in. Try to make it as even as possible. You stick it in the little holes on here. which have these little butterfly nuts that loosen it. Put it on, start tightening it up. That's how that works. Put one on each end. It's relatively simple to use. And that's the cheap balsam wood. They come in better wood also, so now you can see what they look like better. So this one is actually meant to go in a stand like this. This is made out of, I think, maple. And it's got the slits on it too. But you can see with the better quality one, it doesn't come apart as easily, but it's also smoother inside. And then when you put these in here, they fit better. So again, if you want to just try out the concept, go cheap. If you like it, buy a more expensive one. And even as a more expensive scroll frame, this was not terrible. I'm going to say probably like 15 years ago when I bought it, it was $10 more than the balsam wood one. And then this is what they would look like. Let me tighten these down just a little bit. Okay, tighten that down. See how it doesn't, because there's no fabric, it's not tightening down all the way correctly. Okay, and then these can go in a frame like this. Alright. Those are the scroll frames. So this is the scroll frame stand. It's a standing stand. I got this is like $100 on Amazon. I only have 19, as of the time of this, 19 subscribers. So this is not an advertisement. This is what I use. It has holes in it so you can adjust the width of your arm, which is nice because if you're using one of these smaller frames, as you can see, it will fit on here with this smaller frame. So I can put a project in this small scroll frame, like a really long thing, like a bell pull or something, on here, and it will fit just fine. And then it screws in, these come off, and it screws in. Take these off, put them here, take this off, put it on the other one. It's got a little spacer here, so there will be room in between there for that little one. And I bought this just a couple years ago. So I bought this after that scroll frame. So this here is nice because you can turn your project this way. It is adjustable with this nut here. So you can move it however you want. I'm going to pop this off real quick, just so I can talk about some of the other parts of this frame. So these can come off here too. So if you have multiple bars, multiple of these bars, you can just swap out this bar instead of having to take off these two pieces here. This is the nut, bolts on the inside. Can't see it. Let's do this side. So this piece here is the nut, and then this piece here is a Phillips head screwdriver, so you can tighten it down. So let me get this out of the way. Alright. So this here is the stand, and the stand can be turned. No matter how much I tighten it, it still seems to loosen, but you can tighten it. And if for some reason this is not tightening, just wrap a little bit of that white plumber's tape that you get with every shower head you buy on the bolt, right on the threads, and it'll make it tight. I personally like that it can swing a little bit. The other part of this frame that I like is this arm right here is adjustable. Let me pick this up. It is adjustable. Okay, so you could adjust it to any height you want. If you want it taller because you're a tall person, or you're stitching on a very tall chair or whatnot, you can make this taller. Or if you're just doing a larger project and you're at the bottom of your scroll and you just need it higher for work, you can make it taller. There's an adjustable knot here, and there's one here, so you can fully adjust this. And then the piece that it came with is, let's get out my measuring tool. At its widest, it's like 16 inches. And then, I'm going to say this is probably 24 inches, because this is 18. And I still got another 6 inches over on the end here. So this is probably 24 inches. So it'll hold a pretty big project. And then it also has holes here so you can make it narrower. So if you're working on a project that doesn't have as much fabric as this Indian Peacock does, you can still use this frame. This is a very versatile frame, and I really like the scroll frame for that purpose. So when it comes to the question of do you use a hoop, a scroll stand, a Q-snap, or stitch in hand, it really depends on the project I'm working on. If I'm working on a project, that's on an Aida or a really easy linen, and it's a really easy stitch without a whole lot of colors, changes, and there's no specialty stitches, I can stitch in hand. And then this one travels with me whenever I go anywhere, and it just goes in this cute little bag that I bought 20 some years ago at a craft show. Keep the needle, keep the floss, there's the pattern, keep it all in here, and then I grab my threader, which I think is on my Raven. Throw it in there and I'm good to go. This is great for when I'm going to long rides in the car, sitting in doctor's appointments. You know, the thing is, if you're going to travel with your project, don't put it in a Ziploc bag. Put it in something that makes it look nicer. And then put your phone number inside. I usually keep a business card in here, but I think I gave it away. I did give it away when I was at the VA hospital in Saginaw. So, you know, keep something in there with your name so if you lose it. Other options are little bags like this. This one came in the mail from Amazon or something with something in it. And then these little envelopes here, because they just don't look like trash. I got these at the Dollar Tree for $1.25. And this one has my finished projects in it. So like this project here, my Blackwork Beauties, is on linen. But like some of this I was able to stitch in hand because it's an easy pattern. And then this Mills Hills, I did a lot of this stitching in hand too, because the lines are pretty simple to follow. You know, it's not a whole lot of often color changes. Even down here where it's really colorful, I was able to do that in hand. And I can do the beads in hand that are on here too, but the beads just lay nicer if I do them in a hoop, so it then got moved to a hoop. And this one's going to be framed and sent to a friend of mine. It has been done for years. Well, like 2 years. So years. And I still have yet to frame it for her and mail it to her. So I am a terrible friend and I do apologize for that. Okay, so that is my stance on stitching in hand, hoops, and scroll frames and Q-snaps. Thank you so much for watching. You guys are wonderful, and I'm at 19 subscribers, so maybe soon I'll be at 250. Joking, of course. You guys have a wonderful day and happy stitching.